At the end of the day, the best planner for you is the one that you actually use. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be diving into a topic that is both exciting and maybe a little bit nerve-wracking, and that is choosing your next planner, or maybe even your first planner. Whether you're a student, a professional, or someone that is just trying to stay organized, finding the right planner can make a world of difference. But before we begin, make sure that you are subscribed to my channel by hitting that subscribe button and turning on notifications so that you know when my videos are posted here on YouTube. All right, let's jump in. So first and foremost, before we talk about the physical aspects and some of the needs that you will have out of a planner, I want to talk about something that is near and dear to my heart, and that is that planning is such a personal decision. No one else is living your life, knows your day-to-day details of your life, your work, your family environment, your home environment. You're the only person that knows that. So please understand that this video is not to tell you what planner you should choose, but to help you kind of consider some important categories when maybe jumping into planning, or when you're going to decide to maybe switch things up, because maybe you're in a planning rut and you're just like, I need something different, but I want to start all over again. I know that there are a lot of armchair experts out there that are going to give you some recommendations, and that's great. I'm often asked for recommendations about which planner to use. I've been in this community for a decade now, and I get asked this question pretty much almost daily. And honestly, it really comes down to your personal decision and a lot of other key factors. But again, it's going to be your choice at the end of the day what planner you choose to go with. Okay, so let's talk about the first category, because I've seen other people make videos like this, and I feel like this is an afterthought, and I feel like honestly this is the category that we really need to start with, and that is a budget. So you can consider all of the other important aspects of a planner, but if it's not within your budget, then we're gonna be right back at square one trying to figure out, are we looking for a $50, $60 planner, or are we looking for a planner that's $200, $300? If you're new to the planning community and you're like, why does a planner cost that much? Well, they can, and they most certainly do. And if anything, there are plenty of planners out there that cost well more than a couple $100s. So it's gonna be important to you to figure out, what do you want to spend year after year or quarter after quarter? If you're getting a half-year book, if you're getting a quarterly book, if you're getting a 18-month book or a 12-month book, there are a variety of books and planners that span different timelines, and that can definitely affect the cost. So that's something to take into consideration. And of course, while you're considering your budget, you're going to want to consider number 2 on my list of things to think about when you're choosing your next planner, and that is binding. Your binding is going to play a huge role in the budget part of your planning. There are planners that come in coils, discs, strings. There are book bound, there are ring bound, just to name a few. So these are some of the things that you're going to want to consider. If you're using a ring bound planner, that's great and all, but some of these can cost $50. This one right here was just over $100. It's the Filofax Original. And then you can start jumping into categories like Giglios and Vanderspecs, and those are maybe starting price in the 200s, right? And you're just talking about the outside. So binding really is important. Part of the process of choosing the binding is also considering the storage of your planner, right? If you want a coil bound planner, it's going to be easy at the end of the planning season for that particular book to just close it, be done with it, put it on a shelf, and you're good to go, right? But when you use something like rings or even discs, you're gonna have to figure, am I gonna leave my inserts in those rings? Am I going to also buy a whole new leather cover or a faux leather cover? Am I gonna be buying more discs? Those are going to affect the price, the overall budget of your planner. And you may also be someone who's perfectly okay with keeping the same cover, and what will lower the cost is just kind of archiving the inserts inside in maybe a cheaper plastic cover that you can find on Amazon, and then you can still reuse the current cover and just worry about the price of inserts. So that's going to be more of a personal decision. I know plenty of people who just use the same cover year after year. And then there are folks who want to have a whole new fresh look every year, and that's perfectly okay. But again, you're going to gonna have to go back to number one and consider, is this within my budget to keep maintaining this and this planning system that I currently want to use? Okay, for the next two categories, I'm gonna turn the camera around and we're gonna take a look at two very important aspects of the planning system that you may or may not choose, and that is size and layout. I cut out a bunch of different size samples for you guys so you could kind of see and compare the different sizes that I'm talking about. Now, obviously I wasn't able to include every single size that exists in the entire planner world. However, here are a few that you can consider because this layout is really going to be determined if it can fit into the size, right? Like, you can't really try to fit everything that you're going to fit in a 7x9 planner over here in a week's size planner, and you can really see like the actual physical difference here on this page. So I really want you to consider, when you are looking at different sizes of planners, is check around on the website of the company that you're looking at and see if they offer some free printables so you can get kind of an idea of if a size is actually going to work for you. If a company doesn't have a free printable for you, that's totally okay. Consider trying to see if you can see if they have the dimensions, and you can take printer paper, which is exactly what I did, measure it out, and then start drawing your ideal layout and see if it's actually going to work for you. I've done this a few times in the past. For example, I've talked to a lot of people. They were like, oh, I'm trying to decide between Weeks size planner, whether it's Sterling ink or the Hobonichi Weeks, and personal rings. They look different, but their writing space is actually the same when you consider the area for the holes of the planner. Weeks is actually slightly taller as well, but not by a whole lot, but the writing space is going to be the same. So it's really going to be, is a bound book better for you, or are rings better for you? So going back to that binding category, if you already know that the writing space works for you, but you can't do rings, then maybe it's time to consider a week's size planner. I would also consider the standard TN size if that's kind of what your jam is, something a little bit more narrow, things like that. Now, some other similar sizes to one another that a lot of people talk about are A6 to Passport. Now, your Passport size planner, or maybe even your Pocket Rings, which is fairly close, are a much smaller, shorter book. So again, if you are looking to fit daily pages on these pages, then perfect, right? You're going to be able to get a day's worth of work on here. Again, you're going to have to figure out what your ideal day looks like, and this is why I would consider either printing out samples of each size and then seeing if you can actually fit your ideal day on here or your ideal week on here. There's a lot to consider when talking about layouts, of course, as well, because it's like, do you want everything in one book? Are you someone who compartmentalizes, and that works really well for you? I'm someone who is right down in the middle, right? When choosing your next planner, you really have to know yourself, what your personal needs are, and what you can keep up with. So if you like to compartmentalize, but you can't keep up with it, then maybe that's not for you, and looking for an all-in-one book is going to be best because you're going to actually be able to keep up with it. At the end of the day, the best planner for you is the one that you actually use. So you can pick what you consider to be the right price, the perfect binding, in the right size, and the right layout. But if you're not using it, then it's not the perfect planner for you. At the end of the day, the best planner for you is the one that you actually use. At the end of the day, the best planner for you is the one that you actually use. Now, even though I have, cut out all of these sizes and things like that, you've got to also consider that not every layout is available in every single size. So there are journals that come in the week's size, but you may not be able to get a week's size planner in a Passport. The layouts could be similar, but not exactly the same. So that's something to consider. At the end of the day, also, you may want to consider just getting a dot grid book if you can't seem to find that perfect planner manufactured by a specific company. You may have to go the route of drawing your layouts out. And if that's not for you, you might have to make some exceptions within what you're looking for in a planner. It can be very hard to find your quote unquote perfect planner that's made by someone else. I think this is why in the bullet journal community, those folks over there are so happy, because if they decide layout number 1 didn't work this week and now they're going to try out layout number 2, they can literally do that all while staying in the same book from the very beginning. So I kind of envy them at times, but I also know I can't keep up with drawing layouts. So again, you have to know yourself. Another thing to think about when you're considering the size of your planner is, are you going to be taking this planner with you? Is your planner just going to live on your desk, or do you carry a particular bag or a backpack with you and your planner needs to come and go with you as you leave your home, go to work, leave work, to and from activities and things like that? I know for me it's an important factor as I carry a variety of different types of bags, but if I'm traveling, I want to make sure that I don't have a planner that's too big for my bag or a bag that's entirely too small for my planner, and vice versa. So those are some of the other things that you're going to want to think about when you're considering the size of your planner. Obviously, if your planner just lives on your desk, then you can get as big a planner as you want. But at the end of the day, size really does matter, and not just in planning. Now that we've talked about budget, binding, sizing, and layout, I want to talk about some other additional features you may want to consider when choosing your next planner. Now, some planners come with additional features like meal planning, goal setting, habit tracking, pockets for loose papers and storage and things like that. If those are things that you need in your planning system, then you're definitely going to want to create a list. This way, when you're headed to a different company's website, you can see if they offer those additional add-ons or if it's already a part of the system and cost for the planner that you are looking for. Be aware that at some companies you can customize till your heart is content, but keep an eye on the cost because the cost could continue to go up as you add to the planner. But again, you're gonna know what you need personally and if having those particular features to your planner is important, because again, this is your planner. And next, let's talk about aesthetics. This may seem like something that's not extremely important to a lot of people, and if it's important to you, then it definitely matters when choosing your next planner. If you prefer something that's a little bit more utilitarian looking, or you really just don't care what your planner looks like, it's going to make choosing your next planner very, very easy. But like I said in the beginning of this video, choosing a planner is a very personal decision and a very personal journey, and you're gonna wanna find something that fits your vibe. Luckily for this community, there are so many companies out there that offer a variety of different aesthetics that will suit your personal style and choice and allow you to plan how you want, get creative with your plans exactly in a way that fits your personality. And that's what's most important at the end of the day, is that it fits your personality and your personal needs. All right, guys, that is all that I have for you today. I hope that you found these tips helpful for you when choosing your next planner or jumping into a new planner. Maybe you're just wanting to start fresh for the upcoming new year, or maybe you're just new to the planning community and really wanting to explore planning for yourself. I hope that you found these tips helpful, and if you have any tips that you'd like to share, please share them down below in the comments. As always, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. If you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you are already subscribed, make sure you click that notification bell so that you know when my videos are posted here on YouTube. As always, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, everyone.